This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of having a good friend of mine, Adam Sedlack, president of UFC Gyms. We've known each other for many years, and as the industry keeps growing, UFC Gym keeps growing, you keep growing personally and professionally. And I want to talk here on this podcast about what's going on at UFC Gyms. I want to talk about your management style, how you're able to bring on great people, and talk about some franchising opportunities that are out there. So welcome to the show.
Pete, thank you. And I got to say, you're growing too. Look at you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm taking over a little more square footage now. I also got a 2-bedroom, 4-bath. The 2 bathrooms are in the lobby of the building I'm in, so I said I got a 4-bath. Yeah, we're trying to forward the Halo movement, and as many investors as we can find that want to get into the business. We want to team them up with franchisees that have area developments. We want to team them up with the companies and entrepreneurs that we think are doing awesome things. So I view ourselves as we're the connector. So I got to make sure I connect the right people. So let's just start out, just give your personal background, because I think every executive who becomes really good at what they do is because they've had experiences of what they're running at the ground level. So you can, you can better understand and appreciate, what it takes to make a business work. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so starting in the industry, straight out of college, and I never thought the fitness industry was what I was going to do as a career. And so I started at the front desk, and really it was just to meet some girls and work out and have some fun. And
that's a good directive.
Yeah. And then I saw these sales guys selling memberships, so I said, let me try that out, and started selling some memberships. And I had a little bit of results and success from that, and then had the opportunity to become an assistant manager, then a general manager, then a district manager, and a regional manager, and kept on evolving with 24-hour fitness. And I did things I think that others wouldn't do in regards to discretional behavior, and I moved 20 times in my career at 24-hour fitness for opportunity, and sometimes you got to do that, right? You got to do what others won't to seize the moment. And I was able to take advantage of that opportunity, and I was able to surround myself with good managers, good trainers, good front desk people. And to me, it's the power of circle of association, right? It's the people that lead you and mentor you. It's the people that you lead, and it's the people that are side by side with you that can make you better. And I've been very fortunate to have incredible people around me in many areas of this business.
It's also interesting, we don't really talk too much about this, but, as you have a culture and you've got a hard charging culture, and your people are executing, and then people want to get to the next level, if you've got a couple of clubs and you're not growing, there's no room to basically empower people to take on more responsibility. So basically, you're basically one of the results of like a high growth business where they can retain someone like you, and they could also say, look, if you do this well, like 3 to 6 months from now, I've got an opportunity, and it could be in a different city, but it's going to run in this play, and you can kind of get higher up on the ladder to help manage it. So like growth and private equity sometimes is viewed as like, well, we're growing because we're growing only for financial reasons to make money. Yeah. We're also growing because like we can't retain these people unless we grow. There's nowhere to go. Yeah. So I got to build these clubs to get to basically retention of talent.
You're so right on that, and I think also what intersects that is how the culture is built at a senior executive level. A lot of people do it for compensation reasons. A lot of people do it for additional promotional or professional growth. But there's also this avenue that says that I got somebody that's looking out for me. Somebody's got my back. And so I've been able to fit in that lane where I've always felt like there's been a roadmap or a pathway for me to be successful as long as I run as fast as I can directionally. And it's proved out to be successful.
That's great. So you moved 20 times.
Yeah.
How did you end up being, at UFC? And you stayed there for a while, so congrats on staying still for a few minutes.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm proud to say that I've been with 2 companies my entire professional career.
Yeah, very clean resume.
Yeah, very simple, very simple. And I went from a front desk person to a divisional president with 24-hour fitness, and had an incredible learning experience. That company brought me so much. And then I had the opportunity, Mark Mastroff sold 24 Hour Fitness in 2005,
right.
I think for $1.7 billion. And he decided to go diversify himself and start New Evolution Ventures. And inside New Evolution Ventures, there's multiple fitness organizations. And he was friends with the guys at UFC. And those are pretty good guys to be friends with, right?
It's so you got Tita brothers.
And Lorenzo and Dana White. And they said, hey, let's think of a fitness concept around how UFC athletes prepare for fights.
Right.
And you know what? When Mark posed that to me for the first time, I thought he was nuts. I thought he went crazy because at that point, I wasn't a UFC fan. What do you think of, if you're not a UFC fan, what do you think of?
I mean, like I've watched it, I've gone to a couple, but I'm not.
But your natural inclination is that you're going to get your ass kicked.
It's not mainstream. It's not something I definitely would want to do voluntarily.
So but here's what happened to me. There's a switch that got flipped, and Mark told me, he said, go watch a fight camp. Go watch this camp and understand how a UFC athlete prepares for a fight, and then call me back in 30 days. So I went to a fight camp, and it was an amazing experience because what I saw was an athlete preparing for their fight. They had 9 specific coaches. They had a conditioning coach, a jiu-jitsu coach, a boxing coach, a kickboxing coach, a nutritionalist, a psychologist.
Wow. I know anything about this.
All these people. And you know what the one thing they all had in common was? To make that fighter the best possible version of themselves on fight day.
Right.
And then it triggered to me. I go, man, the fitness industry, the fitness business, in the era of where pricing is becoming more and more sensitive, it's all about your value proposition.
Right.
And if we could create this unique value proposition where every consumer could have this incredible group of coaches in every gym, where no matter what your goal was, what you wanted to accomplish, what you mentally or physically, what your opportunities were, we could have these coaches fulfill that gap for you. And so these community of camps in these gyms resonated really well. And as I investigated and I learned about it, I go, Mark, this is a home run idea. And then he was working with Jim Rowley at the time with New Evolution Ventures, and the business was born. And so we started the company in December of 2008. We did our first one in Northern California, in Concord, California. The thing scaled incredibly well. And I mean, I think at the end of pre-sale, we had 3,000 members, and then when the club opened, I think the grand opening had 10,000 plus people there, and let me tell you, it was a media event.
Amazing.
And it's the world of value proposition and distribution, and so we were able to take all the content we've been able to create from that event, and we leveraged it into the next club, and the next club, and the next club. And then in 2012, we said, man, we have to be able to scale this globally, because not only are we making money with this thing, and not only are these stores doing incredibly well, but we're actually creating a purpose in fitness.
Right.
And with 20 to 25% of the population in the U.S. in the fitness, we know it's going to continue to grow. And so many fitness concepts are just focusing on price, and it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, a lot of companies do really well with that, right? If you're a $10 a month club and you got a good value and a good gym, you can make a lot of money. But the way I see the industry and the fitness business is people are looking for a reason to do it both mentally and physically, not just physically. And so I think we're going to be able to fulfill that gap over a period of time and really stand apart from other competitors out there. So that's why the franchise business had to take off and scale. Internationally, it's booming, right? It's an incredible business right now. Yeah. We acquired a franchise company, and at that point, a lot of the existing franchisees that we had weren't quite up to the brand proposition of where UFC Gym was. So over the last 5-6 years, we've been cleaning that up a bit. But we're in such a great position right now to really evolve with the way people see fitness.
So you've been around the industry for a long time, which gives you a great lens on things that come and go, and competitors that come and go, pricing models that come and go. How do you as the CEO, president of UFC, convince people to say, look, hold the line, okay? Like, this is what we're delivering. We're delivering an unbelievable experience. I'm not doing $0 down. I'm not doing first month's free. I'm not doing, taking this down to $29. Like, you got to stop and stop the noise and just focus on the relationship and focus on that. If we ever give up price, we're never getting it back because there's no reason for us to raise it if we lowered it. Like, we got to stay where we are, and this is a good deal, and people are getting results. So how do you kind of think about where you are and how you convince people not to give away the store?
It's a fantastic question, and because the easy path of success is dropping price, or you think it's the easy path of success. But what happens when you drop price is the lower price becomes the new norm, right? So initially you'll get an increase in membership acquisition because the sales team gets excited about it, and there's customers that you can go back and find and try to get in if you're $20 off.
Right.
But then once it becomes the new norm, people are going to want it less and less expensive. The problem also that comes with that is a lower value proposition. So if I say to you, Pete, come join my club, my product is incredible and it's $8 a month, you're gonna be suspect on what my true value proposition is for $8 a month.
I can't get a turkey wrap and like iced coffee for less than like $12, right?
Exactly right.
So how did things? I mean, I understand the business model works on Planet, and it's great. And I'm glad they got 15 million people to go in there, but I mean, I want to get people results, but I also want it to be delivered profitably, or else there's no capital that's going to attract the industry, and we'll all become nonprofits, which is not going to be good for anyone.
Well, listen, here's where these low-cost models are doing a good job, is they have low labor, they're fairly predictable. I think the potential risk is if people don't put money back into the clubs on CapEx to keep those clubs, because they do 2,000 workouts a day, right? So they're going to get beat up a little bit. But the consumer today and in the future is going to be looking for diversity. And I think you're going to see members joining 3 or 4 clubs at one time for different reasons and different purposes. And so I embrace it. I love $10 a month clubs because you know what they do? They spend some good money on marketing. They
level awareness.
Yeah, and then that's the entry point for an average consumer that doesn't do fitness. And then we can earn the right to put them in our funnel and talk about the next level of membership acquisition where you can really truly get a different value proposition.
Yeah, I tell people, look, I mean, if you think you're competing like just with other fitness providers, like you got a rude awakening, because we got to get people from spending an hour in a bar to spending an hour in the gym.
Right.
We got to get people from going to a movie or sitting home in Netflix, and ordering from Seamless Web, and we got to get their ass in the gym. Like, that's where you're competing for time. You're not competing for. If someone went to Planet, or somebody goes to Soul Cycle, goes to Orange Theory, and then the next day they come to UFC, like, that's fine. Like, I'm on the rotation, right? The rotation's good, and we got somebody in the sector, and if they get results from us or from any of those other 3, this is all they talk about. It's like, if you think about like if you and I 15 years ago, what were we talking about? We talking about like, I'm going on vacation to like Vegas or like South Beach. Here's the movie I saw. Here's the girl I was dating, and here's like some maybe some like poker thing I'm doing. And now it's like, what fitness studio class did you take? What are you also getting another membership? Did you go on this? I'm going on this obstacle course rate. Oh, my friend went on this yoga retreat. I'm doing this 10K. Like, it's almost like everything that people talk about, besides like some new Netflix serial, killer making a murder or something that I really like, by the way. It's like it's all fitness related and all Halo.
And let me tell you, the number one ability to succeed, or number one reason why people will be successful in the future, it's not really how great you understand the fitness space. And it's not even about telling the future of where fitness is going. It's about, do you have the right emotional intelligence, the right awareness to be able to get great people around you that can service the value proposition the right way and connect with the consumer? And I think in today's world, that's something that we got to be incredibly sensitive to, especially when you start talking about margins and exits and how to improve those, because you can't go off and say, I'm going to cut labor to drive my success. You got to invest and increase your labor, in my opinion, to get the right value proposition, to increase the revenues, to drive your overall margins. And so I think, as I look at the industry and I look at fitness in general, there's some incredible operators out there that are doing just fantastic work. And I investigate them because I look at the way they're leading, and in almost every case, I see the way they're leading is through putting incredible people around them, understanding how to be socially and externally aware of their impact on the business and their impact on people. And that's the X factor now to be able to grow business in the fitness side on a go-forward basis. I think that there's a lot of expertise and a lot of talent out there. It's just how do we navigate with each other, with one another, to create this fitness movement and continue to accelerate growth.
One thing that that came up earlier yesterday in a podcast that I want to share with you right now. So we were talking about advertising, and someone's like, "Yeah, my advertising expense." And I said, "Well, you mean your advertising investment? That ain't an expense." And now you're talking about people, and and I'm in these meetings all day with investors. They're like, "Oh, what's payroll expense on that?" Maybe we should start to like obnoxiously correct people and be like, "You mean my payroll investment? You mean my human capital investment in this?" Like my team, there was a guy who said to me in a podcast, Joe Cerulli, he's like, someone's like, "Yeah, we'll take your clubs and we'll stamp out another 20 boxes." And he's like, "I live in one of those boxes. I don't think we're gonna get along. I'm not doing a deal with you. I don't live in a box. I'm helping 6,000 people."
Yeah,
basically has my name on it.
Yeah.
So
listen, what you say is so right, and you think about marketing, right? What is marketing? Marketing's job. There's two avenues. One is, of course, 100% organic that happens from your consumer base. But the other one is, how do you impact other members or other potential customers out there? And if you don't have the right value proposition, you don't know how to create content off of it, it's exactly how you're doing now with creating a diverse message through podcasting, right? Is that you have to be able to invest, the investment word is the right word, into the right channels. Now, if you can't measure it, and you can't understand it, then you might be wasting money, because people are now seeing fitness as a success model. So everybody and their mom is going to get into the industry to say, "Hey, I have the best next marketing idea out there." So if you can't prove it out and you can't measure it and you can't see the data off of it, it doesn't make any sense. However, if you can, and if you're smart about it, that's one of the biggest reasons of failure beyond picking the wrong people and the wrong real estate. Is that you don't spend money on marketing, because people think it drops straight to the bottom line, right? So I agree with you.
100%. So look, as you build out UFC and you're seeing area development agreements and a lot of space, how much of what you're doing at UFC is in partnership or affiliation, or that there's an understanding between the UFC gyms and the UFC? Like, hey, we got a big fan base up in Seattle. Okay, let's go find a franchisee for UFC gyms. Are you doing that? Is that kind of just happening on its own? How does that footprint look, and how's it going to grow?
Yeah, good question. So certainly, in the U.S., it's fairly organic. UFC is one of the fastest growing sports out there, and so we can almost go to any market and resonate with the consumers. But you take a market like China, right? So we just signed China as a master franchisor in Shanghai.
Congrats.
Well, thank you. And what the UFC is doing out there is, what are they doing? They're investing a ton of money. They're building a performance institute out there, which is what they have in Vegas, and their plans are to grow in China in a significant way. And when you look at the distribution strategy that the UFC has, which is one of the core essence of what our value proposition is, it definitely helps us create the footprint for the brand, right? It starts the message, it starts the communication. And they've been so good to us in regards to helping us with our global footprint to be able to resonate in all of these markets. And so certainly there's synergies. There's a lot of opportunity around the athletes as well. And so when you look at the athletes around the U.S., they're all over the place. And now you have athletes that have a chance to participate inside these brands and these clubs and these individual states. And it's a great kind of next step for what an athlete does after they retire.
All right, cool. And then the last question I had was, if I have a club and I got an affinity towards UFC, but I also have a footprint, how does that? Have you gotten a lot of inquiries on, me rebranding so I can actually get some of the marketing power and the programming that you have? Because I know that there's a lot of clubs out there that are, maybe I'll join a franchise. I'm not sure if it represents what this represents to me in the market currently. Maybe I need a refresh. And, also I need some other people to help me with my marketing, which I can't really do on my own as a single operator. But I got a nice got a 60,000 square foot box, and it's got a nice vibe to it, but I can't be independent forever.
Do you have access to my email inbox?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I don't. But if it's password 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah.
Because I mean, this is exactly what's going on right now. Is that with the increase of the number of clubs that are discounting on price, people are looking for a different value proposition to stand for, so they can increase their price point.
Exactly.
And so we're getting a lot of facilities that are calling us saying, "Hey, can we retro this thing, or can we change this thing to a UFC model?" And so what we've done now is created 3 models, right? We have this signature model that is 40,000 square feet, that is a nice big footprint that's full service, and then we shrunk that down to a 10,000 square foot box, which is kind of our mid-box core model that stands for 5 key classes, which is boxing, kickboxing, daily ultimate training, matrix, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And then we throw in the products of PT and youth programming, which is incredibly impactful. And then we went all the way down to a class model, boutique model, an Orange Theory type of approach, where we just stand for boxing and hit class, and that's it. And it's 3,000 square feet. You can insert it in any big studio. So what you can do is, if you're a gym operator that's charging $10 a month for your 20,000 square foot gym, and you can give 3,000 square feet to this space, now you can upgrade all these members from paying $10 a month to paying maybe $70, $80 a month to take these specific hit classes. That's right. So we're getting attacked not only domestically but internationally about taking the value proposition of the UFC brand and putting into these boxes, for sure.
And then the last part, which I had witnessed when I went to one of your clubs, I believe it was in Bayside, Queens, where they had like 1,000 kids on like $39 a month or whatever it was at the time. But talk about how like there really hasn't been a game changer in the kids programming yet. But I felt that was the only club I've ever been to. I was like, oh shit, like they're not just dropping kids off in like the kids center, but they got like their own little like teen gym over there. Like that was really intriguing. So the UFC obviously resonates with younger kids like it did with me. I was like a big WWE guy back in the day.
You said WWF, that goes back.
Yeah, Cable Clutch I did, like Jimmy Snuka.
Superfly.
Superfly Snuka. What was the other one?
Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. You got them all.
It was like what was the Camel? No, it was a Camel Clutch and one other one. Anyway, my point is that kids love this shit, right? Yeah. And I'm saying like, all right, you're in a great position to basically say, hey, don't just drop your kid off and they can play with crayons. But like we're actually got an experience for them. Where's that evolving?
And by the way, I never did have a chance to thank you when you showcased your skills in the octagon when you came out and visited us in Queens. So I appreciate that.
No problem. I usually throw a basketball or a football around. I got my football over here. But yeah, I'm doing all right. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, no, listen, it's holistic, right? And so what you just said, the average person is not picking up on, but in most fitness facilities, you go to the gym and you drop your kids off in some urine-stained, carpeted, small little room where they watch a movie, right? Exactly. The room smells. There's no ventilation. The AC doesn't work. It's a nightmare.
All right, just stop there.
Yeah.
No, keep going. Just say it. All right, we know the place doesn't look so good.
Got it.
Not a place you should athletically drop your kid off because you need to go on a treadmill for 30 minutes.
And I want to say that's not in every facility, but it can happen. And so now think about this, Pete. If you have kids and you can bring your kid takes you to the gym because they want to work out.
Yep.
It changes the game. And how do you feel as a parent when your kid is active versus your kid just sitting there doing nothing?
Of course.
It's a whole different paradigm shift, right? So now you have a family that walks into the facility, that starts and trains together. They enter the gym and they leave together feeling better as a family. So
that's great.
It's been fantastic, and it's definitely one of the fastest growing segments of the UFC population.
Yeah, and I also think I grew up. My dad would come home, my mom was cooking, my sister was there. We sat down, we had a meal together. And I think in this day and age of people being so busy, if you can actually go to the gym together, that might kind of check off the box of like actually having a nuclear family that has time to spend together. I mean, I think it's important. A lot of people going in different directions. They don't really have family time.
In my opinion, great leadership and great families, it's always about asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to train with your kids, it creates an environment where we get to talk about questions and talk to our kid and ask our kids questions about how their experience was and what did they learn and how do they feel more empowered and confident in life.
Yeah.
It definitely is a shift, and I agree with you that the days of having a steak dinner with the entire family, they're gone. It doesn't happen anymore.
So in closing here, what's a good Sedlack quote or like something that will come out of your mouth, or people like, oh yeah, he always says that all the time, and that's what his like go-to, or some quote that you find intriguing that helps you live or helps you diagnose a problem or like something like that.
Yeah, I'm not that sophisticated, so you have to bear with me. But listen,
Yeah, right, whatever.
It's more paradigm, right? And it's the way I think you think. And I'm such an incredible believer in karma. Yeah. And purpose. And listen, from an investment perspective, everybody wants to make money, but that is not my motivation. My motivation is to change the way people look at life and to change the way people experience life. Yep. And listen, for the first time ever, Pete, listen to this. For the first time ever, our kids are projected to have less life expectancy than we are.
It's unbelievable.
And what does that tell you? It just tells you that the TMZ culture has completely taken over, right? And our job, my job, and other people that are on this podcast, their job is to figure out how to change that and reverse that. And so to me, it's creating good karma through having the right power and circle of association of people that can go out there and create a purpose with the way that we live.
Let's get people active. Let's get people in the gym. Bring your kid. We're going to UFC gym. Adam, thanks for being on, bro. Great talking to you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, people.